Greetings, everyone. It's Maggie here, reflecting on TEDx Talks by Zoe Wheel. And some of the things that Zoe really hits on is the idea of being more global in our thinking, recognizing that we need to become humane and just educators. And really, the purpose of becoming humane educators is for the entire world. So we can really change the students who we have right now into becoming solutionaries, visionaries for a better future for everybody. And Zoe advocates that we always look deeper. We look behind what we see in media and often look at what is being hidden from our view. So here I have a view of our global world, but what might be hidden from you is this picture. Very similar picture of the Earth, yet there's a lot of junk scattered around there. And that junk is actually space junk. And a report by the National Research Council found out that we have filled the outer space with the equivalent of 1 million little discarded Starbucks double shot cans. There's a lot of junk out there that needs to be cleaned up from our society, and this right now is hidden from our view. So Zoe Wheel really advocates that we become solutionaries and look behind what is at the surface, look deeper so that we can really, truly do good and understand what is being hidden from our view. In Zoe's talk, The World Becomes What You Teach, she advocates that our view of the world, our view of schooling right now is too small. We're viewing schooling as occurring only in these four walls. And that's really outdated for today's world. We need to be able to equip students with the tools to be solutionaries, to be conscientious choice makers, engaged change makers, so that we can have this healthy, humane world for all. Zoe advocates that above all else, she wants her students to be critical thinkers. And I found this picture of students who are looking at the future and say they are going to make the world a better place. Well, what is critical to that? Well, one thing that is critical, as Zoe advocates, is critical thinking. We need to make sure that our students are critical thinkers. But in looking at the other piece of this, I see a lot of our of our visionaries who we have looked at. Creativeness. Right away, I think of Robinson when we talk about that creativity. Okay? And then I look at things such as local and global connections, sustainable development. Spring, who advocates for global school systems, comes to mind. The idea of challenging stereotypes and being welcoming, fair, caring about others. Those all to me have that understanding of being coming from a pedagogy of love, really Nava's holistic education. And self-reflection. Reflection is so critical, and I'm really seeing that as, even Zoe Wheel advocates. Zoe says, our graduates would know that it was their responsibility to ensure that the systems within their profession were just and humane and peaceful. Why? Because that is what they would have learned in school. We need to be teaching toward these characteristics and attitudes so that our students can become the solutionaries that is needed for this next generation. Then Zoe asks, well, how do I become a solutionary? And really, there is no solution key, even though that would be nice. So Zoe advocates for us to ask questions, such as what skills and talents could you bring to bear? What systems do you want to change? And specifically, being a humane educator, we're looking at the interconnected systems of human rights, animal protection, and environmental preservation. And I think most importantly, Zoe asks, what do you love to do? Where does your passion lie? And it's when you combine the answer to these questions, that's where you find your solutionary path. And I think I need more reflection on this. And Zoe actually advocated for reflection, saying she didn't even know at first. That's what was missing, was the reflection to these questions. And for me, that's what I hope to really reflect upon as I move towards the end of this is, what do I really love to do? And what systems do I want to change? What talents and skills do I have? I recognize the fun I have with this technology here. So what can I use through technology? The systems that I want to change. There's so many, it's hard for me to narrow down, but I think that's where I need to really find, and what do I love, and who do I want to work with to ensure that what I love is being fulfilled. Those are all questions. For me, this how to be a solutionary leads to more questions, and these questions lead to reflection, which really then will lead to action. And within those questions, reflecting and acting, I hope to achieve praxis. And this is really the model of Paulo Freire. Zoe talked a lot about solutionaries. This was something I really loved, and whether you want to tweet or email, text, or send your messages in a bottle, really Zoe's advocating for what is the message. Gandhi, Zoe quoted Gandhi and said, "My life is my message." And she asks us, well, are we living our lives in a way that we're modeling the message we most want to model? Are we making choices that truly reflect our values? And can we find our life's great purpose by modeling that message? So how am I going to model the message that I want to send? Well, I need to model it through my actions, through my words, by being purposeful in what I teach, how I teach, even where I teach. And by not putting any limits. I think this is something I continue to work towards. That true education really leads to limitless empower. That there is nothing and no one who can stop you, who can keep you from becoming who you want to be, from changing this world. In a truly liberating education. And it's something that I continue to grapple with, but through our conversations, through our dialogue, the continual reading and reflecting, I'm getting there. I think I'm getting there, but it's going to be a life journey that I'm going to have to constantly think about. What is that message that I want to portray to the world? And in the fourth TED Talk that I viewed, Educating for Freedom, Zoe talked about how we're really a consumer culture, and we have created this idea that happiness equals having stuff, right? And specifically brands. We need our brands. And this has really taken a toll on us, whether we realize it or not. And it was actually very interesting for me, the fact that she talked about that really this dependence on brands has taken away our freedom, has really depraved us of choices. And the one thing that I really pulled for this, I loved the media literacy extensions that Zoe Wheel used and really put it in terms of humane literacy. So I put some advertisements up. These are two advertisements for the same product. And in one you see this person that says step 1, spin, step 2, pack bags. And so he says, well, the media is trying to fulfill our deepest needs. And what deepest needs? Well, the thrill of just picking a point on the globe and traveling. That's a very, interesting desire. But, I would be remiss if I didn't show the whole picture, because that's important. So I found another ad very similar, and again for this same product, and it said donate some time too. Donate. first it's saying, hey, get up, go, travel the world, see the world. And then it's telling us, you know what, do something with your life. Donate your time to Feeding America, to a hospital, to a nursing home, an animal shelter. And so have you guessed it? Do you know what this product is? Caribou Coffee. For those of you who don't know Caribou Coffee, it's a coffee shop. It's the second largest one behind Starbucks. And it was actually first opened up near where I live, a couple hours away, near the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And it's a huge coffee chain where I'm at, the coffee chain that I usually prefer. And looking deeper into Caribou Coffee, I said, well, Zoe advocates that we need to look to see what's hidden from our view. And it was actually very liberating to see that Caribou Coffee is in alliance, actually, with the Rainbow Forest Alliance Project, where they are actually putting out coffee that is 100% approved by the Rainbow Alliance or the Rainforest Alliance. So they are really looking at being conservationists and being global aware producers of coffee, all the way down to the cups that they give to their customers. And this quote by Zoe Wheel stood out for me during this Educating for Freedom. We owe it to them, meaning our students, and to the generations that follow to ensure that they can face those challenges courageously, compassionately, and wisely, to be able to determine for themselves what's important and what isn't, to be able to recognize those systems and those situations that led us to make dangerous and destructive choices, and then to change them. And if we think of this through media literacy, it really helps us to dig deeper so that we can make choices that are not dangerous, that are not destructive, by choosing a coffee change which is being responsible to the rainforest and not depleting our natural resources out in society. So lastly, I want to kind of weave some of our visionaries together, and really they're all advocating for change. And we know this, really, truly, we know this. We have been writing about this. But where's this advocating for change coming from? Well, the four areas, that I think are most important for us to consider are schooling, curriculum, students, and truly ourselves. Looking back on some of the authors that we've read, from Miller, Nava, Spring, and now we're reading Seymour and all of the different collaborators within Seymour, words that stick out to me are definitely the idea of holistic education and all that entails. Not just Nava, but I mean, Spring really advocated for that global idea. In not only Spring, but Seymour and many of the collaborators within Seymour and Wheel here are looking at our environment and ecology. Those are big words that are standing out. And really, when looking into ourselves, I think the word love, compassion, really jump out at me. Are we doing what we love? Are we doing what we love in a loving manner? Are we seeking to be more compassionate, more humane people? And that word humane, humanistic, is really starting to spring forward to me. What does it mean to even be human in this global society? So those are just some thoughts starting to ruminate. I appreciate any comments about this, and I have enjoyed putting this little presentation together for you.